James Turner had always considered himself a man of quiet strength. At 38, he had built a comfortable life in Dallas, Texas, solid career in real estate, a warm suburban home, and what he thought was a happy marriage with Emily, his wife of 7 years. Friends described him as steady, dependable, the kind of man who never let storms rattle him. And for the longest time, he believed his marriage was an anchor in his life. But anchors, he would soon learn, can sometimes drag you to the bottom. It was a Thursday evening in early spring when it happened. James had just returned home from a long day of meetings. He loosened his tie, kicked off his shoes, and checked his phone while waiting for Emily to come back from a girls' night out. He wasn't expecting anything unusual, just a quick scroll through work emails and maybe a reminder from Emily to pick up wine for the weekend. Instead, he froze when he saw the preview of a new message on his screen. Emily, 2 hearts. Going on a vacation with my ex, don't be jealous, heart. James stared at the words, blinking, convinced he was reading them wrong. His heart thundered in his chest as if someone had pressed a fist into it. He opened the message fully, hoping, praying, that it was a mistake. But no, the words were there, casual, playful, as if she were teasing him about something minor, not detonating a bomb inside their marriage. For a long moment, James sat in silence on the living room couch, the soft glow of the lamp casting shadows across the floor. His first instinct was denial. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe she meant to send it to a friend, not me. Maybe, but the more he replayed the words in his mind, the more he realized, this wasn't a mistake. Emily had meant for him to see it. His phone buzzed again. Emily, 2 hearts. I'll be gone for a week. Don't wait up, winking face. That second message shattered the last trace of doubt. His wife wasn't being careless, she was being deliberate. She wanted him to know. James set his phone down, his hands trembling, and pressed his palms to his eyes. 7 years of marriage, 7 years of dinners, vacations, shared dreams. And now this. Mockery disguised as honesty. His thoughts ran wild. He remembered the first time they met. Emily, radiant in a sunflower yellow dress at a friend's barbecue. She had laughed at his awkward joke, her green eyes sparkling in the summer sun. That day, James had felt like he'd stumbled upon something rare and precious. Now, that memory felt like a cruel trick. When Emily finally returned home later that night, she was humming to herself, the faint scent of perfume trailing behind her. She placed her purse on the counter, completely unfazed by the storm brewing inside her husband. "You're still up?" she asked lightly, pulling off her heels. James swallowed hard, fighting to keep his composure. "I got your message." Emily looked at him, feigning innocence. "Message? Oh, you mean the vacation thing?" She gave a little laugh. "Don't be so dramatic, James. It's just a trip. You always say I need to relax more. With your ex." His voice cracked with a mixture of anger and disbelief. Her expression hardened. "Yes, with my ex. He understands me in ways you don't. Don't make this into a big deal." "A big deal?" James's voice rose, though he quickly steadied himself. "You're telling me you're leaving your husband to spend a week with another man, and I'm not supposed to be jealous?" Emily crossed her arms. "You've become boring, James. Predictable. You work, you come home, you sit in front of the TV. He makes me feel alive again. And don't give me that shocked face. You had to know things weren't perfect." James felt like the air had been sucked from the room. He had worked so hard, not just at his job but at building a life for them. He thought that stability, loyalty, and love would be enough. But to Emily, those qualities had turned into flaws. The conversation ended with Emily storming off to the bedroom, muttering about how he never understood her. James spent the night on the couch, staring at the ceiling, his mind a battlefield of rage, sorrow, and disbelief. In the following days, Emily carried on as if nothing were wrong. She openly packed her suitcase, folding sundresses and sandals, humming while James sat silently in the corner. She booked her flights, laughed on phone calls he suspected were with her ex, and avoided looking him in the eye. Every detail felt like salt in an open wound. Yet amid the pain, something began to shift inside James. He had always been the calm, steady one, the man who avoided confrontation, who believed patience solved everything. But patience, he realized, was not the same as weakness. On the night before her flight, Emily stood by the door, suitcase in hand, smiling as if she were heading to a spa retreat. "Don't do anything stupid while I'm gone," she teased. James forced a smile, his chest tight. "Enjoy your trip." She tilted her head, surprised at his composure. "See, that's the spirit." Then, with a dismissive wave, she left. As the door closed, James sat in silence, the weight of betrayal pressing down on him. But beneath the heartbreak, beneath the devastation, something stronger began to take root: resolve. If Emily thought he would crumble, she was wrong. If she thought she could humiliate him and return to the same safety net, she underestimated the man she married. He didn't know exactly what he would do yet, but one thing was certain: when she came back from her little vacation, nothing in their marriage would ever be the same again. James Turner was not a man who rushed into decisions. When Emily left with her suitcase, expecting him to wait like a lovesick fool, he sat quietly in their empty house and let the silence wrap around him. It was suffocating at first, the kind of quiet that makes you feel abandoned. But then, as hours turned into days, that silence became something else: clarity. Emily thought her text and her departure would crush him. She thought she held all the power. What she didn't realize was that James had never been the kind of man to explode in fury. He was the kind who endured, who observed, who planned. And now, he was planning his response. A week of resolve. While Emily was gone on her vacation with her ex, James took control of everything she had taken for granted. He met with an attorney recommended by a trusted colleague. The lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Denise Carter, listened carefully as James explained what had happened. "She texted you that she was going on vacation with her ex?" Denise asked, arching an eyebrow. James slid his phone across the table. "She didn't even hide it." Denise smirked. "That's not just infidelity, it's arrogance. And in Texas, arrogance leaves a paper trail that can work in your favor." For the first time in days, James felt something close to relief. Denise explained how he could protect his assets. Since most of the money in their joint account had come from his real estate earnings, he had every right to move funds into a separate account until the divorce was finalized. She also suggested documenting every detail: messages, receipts, even the flight information he had seen in her email when she carelessly left her laptop open. James followed every instruction. He withdrew their savings into a private account, leaving just enough for household expenses so Emily couldn't claim he had abandoned her financially. He cataloged everything: photos of her suitcase packed, her messages, her credit card charges at an expensive resort. He even snapped a picture of her ex's name on the flight itinerary. Each step was painful, like reopening a wound. But with every move, James felt stronger. He wasn't the broken husband Emily expected to come home to. He was a man preparing to take his life back. The return. After 7 days, Emily returned. James heard the sound of her key in the lock, the casual hum of her voice as she stepped inside. She wore a new dress, her hair freshly styled, her skin glowing from days under the sun. She looked like someone who had just lived another life, someone who didn't expect consequences. "James," she called cheerfully. "I'm back." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he sat at the dining table, a stack of papers neatly arranged in front of him. When Emily finally walked in, dragging her suitcase behind her, she stopped short. "What's all this?" she asked, her smile fading when she saw his expression. James's voice was calm, almost too calm. "Divorce papers." Emily blinked. "Excuse me." He slid the folder across the table. "I had them drawn up while you were gone. Along with evidence of your trip." Her face hardened. "Evidence? What are you talking about?" James tapped the papers. "Screenshots of your texts, photos of your suitcase, records of your credit card charges, copies of your flight information. You didn't cover your tracks very well." Emily's jaw dropped. "You went through my things. You paraded your betrayal in front of me," James said evenly. "I don't need to snoop. You handed me everything I needed." For the first time, Emily faltered. She looked around the house, suddenly uneasy, as if realizing that her safe little world was crumbling. "James, wait, don't be so rash. It was just a trip. With your ex," he said, the words sharp as glass. You left your husband for another man and expected me to sit here and wait like nothing happened. Emily's voice cracked. You're overreacting. It didn't mean anything. He's just fun, that's all. You're the stable one. You're home. James stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. His eyes locked on hers, steady and unwavering. I don't want to be your backup plan. I don't want to be the man you settle for when your fun runs out. The shift in power. Emily's confidence drained away, replaced with something James had never seen in her before, fear. She had always been the one who dictated the terms of their relationship. But now, she realized the man she thought was safe and predictable had drawn the line. Please, James, she whispered, stepping closer. We can fix this. You're just hurt. I was hurt, he admitted. But now I'm free. You made your choice the moment you sent that text. Emily tried another tactic, her voice rising in desperation. Think about everything we've built. The house, our friends, our family. What will they think if you just throw it all away? James almost laughed. They'll think I finally had the courage to stand up for myself. He picked up the folder and placed it gently in front of her. Sign them, Emily, or don't. Either way, this marriage is over. Aftermath. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Emily refused to sign at first, alternating between pleading and screaming. But when Denise, the lawyer, filed the petition in court, reality set in. Texas law was clear. James's documentation of her infidelity would tilt the scales heavily in his favor. Within a month, Emily moved out, taking only her clothes and a few personal belongings. James kept the house, the savings, and, most importantly, his dignity. But the story didn't end there. Emily, embarrassed and desperate, tried to return. She called James late at night, her voice trembling. I made a mistake. He doesn't care about me the way you did. Can we start over? James listened in silence, remembering the humiliation of that text message, the way she dismissed his loyalty as boring. When she finally stopped speaking, he answered in a voice as steady as stone. No, Emily, I'm not jealous anymore. I'm done. He hung up, and with that, the final chain broke. A new beginning. Months later, James sat at a cafe with a friend, sipping coffee and feeling lighter than he had in years. Divorce hadn't destroyed him, it had rebuilt him. He was focusing on his work, his health, and rediscovering himself outside of Emily's shadow. When his friend asked if he ever regretted not giving her another chance, James shook his head. She thought she could crush me, he said, smiling faintly. But all she did was remind me how strong I really am. And in that moment, James realized something profound. Betrayal doesn't define you, how you respond does.